this money issue for you as a stay-at-home mom that continues to surface for 3 years?
I find it hard that like I don't make any money to contribute to the family because maybe it's this desire to build something for myself. I'm out of alignment instead of finding like something where I could do that.
I mean, I can't win that battle. And I've told you this, and I feel like it's something that I've tried to save you on that I can no longer do.
You can't save me.
I know I can't. Listen, I know I can't. But I've told you, there's a difference between making money and adding value. Welcome back to the Late Night Date Night podcast. This is my beautiful wife, Lizzi Ray. I'm Sergio. If you're new here, welcome. If you came back, appreciate it. One of the conversations Lizzi and I have been having about our marriage and our life is things that no longer serve us that we're trying to let go of in order to create this new version of us. This past weekend, we went and looked at a home. We've had this vision in our mind about a place that we want to live, a big backyard, so that our kids can go outside and have fun, a deck that we can entertain on and have dinners on, a new place for us to step into and really just create this new life. And while that's one piece of it, the conversation that her and I continue to have, both collectively and then, just with our coaches as well, is what do we have to let go of? I think a lot of times people try to add things into their life, thinking that adding more is going to be the thing that gets them to what they want. But you can't add new things into a container that's already full. And so part of our responsibility, and if you're trying to build a new version of you or a new life, is you're gonna have to ask yourself, what are the stories, what are the beliefs, what are the identities, what are the narratives that are currently in your life that are no longer gonna serve you? They got you here, but they're not gonna get you to where you wanna go. And so we've been going back and forth in this conversation. Like if we were to look, at just the four parts of our life, like if we were to look at our bodies, or look at our spirituality, or look at our marriage, right? And we'll just put our relationships as our family, and then our business. Like what is something you need to let go of in your body in order to get what you want?
Well, I think as I've focused on, building this body that I want and feel confident in and working with a fitness and nutrition coach for the last 5 or so months, it's surfaced some old beliefs that I've had about my body image that I didn't know was still there. And so, growing up in competitive dance, wearing booty shorts and, a small little sports bra when you're 6 years old or however old we were, and then going into the professional world where you're judged on, your appearance and how you look and how you perform and things like that. I just noticed for myself that things were surfacing for me and how I felt for my body. So when I would feel super bloated because maybe I spent the last 3 days and I wasn't really honest with myself about how I was actually eating and treating my body. And then I'd feel bloated, 3 days later, wondering where and why I looked the way I did. I'd just get frustrated and kind of tailspin into thinking, oh my God, I'm not making any progress. I don't like the way that I look. This isn't working. I'm not doing it right. I'm not working hard enough, and so all these beliefs about myself kind of surfaced. And so I feel like going through this process with Alyssa, my fitness and nutrition coach, has just really helped me work through those things and just note them for, are they facts or are they feelings? And so most of the time they are feelings.
Yeah, dude, feelings will fuck you up.
Yeah.
And no matter what, it always comes back to mindset around this stuff too. And it's interesting how the body can be one of those things where yes, physically you're changing, but your internal world has to match your external world.
Yeah.
I'm in great shape. Yeah, sometimes I still look in the mirror and I'm like, damn, you are sloppy as fuck. What the hell is going on? In the same context as you, something that I've been having to learn how to let go of is that more is not better.
Right.
I used to put my body through the ringer. Competing in CrossFit, I would do 2-a-days.
Yep.
Then I would work out when I was done with CrossFit, I would go work out in the morning and then I would run in the afternoon. And it's because I was trying to escape something. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
But it was this insecurity. Probably it was this insecurity because I used to be overweight, 192 pounds at 5'6". Not the best look, especially when you're losing your hair at 18. Didn't have a whole lot of girls looking like you talking to me back then. And so I think it was always just this thing I didn't feel worthy. And I've been able to kind of switch that storyline to I have a responsibility to steward my body. and that my body introduces me before I do.
Yeah.
And so it's an energy, it's a look. Nobody can, like, you can't fake this shit.
Yeah.
Either you're in shape because of your commitments or you're fat because of your commitments. And so what I realized, it was just a different like way to look at it, that for me to go into this next chapter of my life and be the man that I want to be, I have to look at my body as a weapon. And I have to train that way with intent and with purpose so that I can build something that I'm proud of through discipline. So this old way that you've been looking at your body, what have you had to let go of and replace this story with?
I think it ties to this idea that I have to feel and look perfect at all times, you know, because that's, I don't know, like when you have a game day and you're not feeling your best, and then all of a sudden you see those pictures that come back and you're like, oh God, like that, or worse, like someone says something poor about you, you know? It like really gets to you, but like I'm not in that world anymore, and like I'm a normal human being, and I'm going to go through my cycles and feel bloated sometimes and maybe not feel my best, and so I just have to like understand that for myself and give myself grace, and really just focus on the effort and in what I'm doing with my fitness and nutrition.
Yeah. I think another thing I've had to let go, I think that's great, because I've watched you kind of let go of this old way of thinking. And you're still fighting it. I know that because it's hard, but I've really watched you learn to love your body. And one of the ways that I've watched you learn to love your body is that you start to wear sports bras and shorter shorts to the gym, which I know make you uncomfortable. But we have a friend, Julie Bauer, who runs Paleo OMG, and one of the things that she did during her pregnancy was she was going to wear a sports bra and shorts, I think it was shorts, to the gym, because she wasn't going to allow her body to dictate how she felt about herself. And I'm watching you embody that too. You really are.
Yeah.
Because the other side of me too, just in this body domain, is like just letting go of things that no longer serve me. So like, drinking alcohol, it's not that I don't do it, it's just like anything more than 3 drinks, not really my speed.
Right.
And I'm sure I shouldn't be doing that more than once a week.
Yeah.
In fact, if I could just get rid of alcohol entirely, I don't think I would drink anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't miss it.
I know, same. And the more you like focus on how you feel when you're eating right and working out and all that, like the less appealing alcohol becomes, I feel like. And like for me, whenever I drink alcohol too, it's like I get hot flashes and the night sweats at night, and then I don't sleep well, and then I wake up and I'm irritable with the boys, and like I just don't like that.
One of my favorite parts about the body is that every Friday, after the workout, I go stand on the in-body scan, and I do the thing where like you test your body fat. I call it Fit Check Friday.
Yep.
And I stand on it, and it gives you your weight, and then it scans your body from your feet up to your waist, and then your head down to your waist. And when I've been consistent with my eating and my workouts and my supplements and my walking, that number, to see your body fat percentage go down and your muscle go, I'm like, I am crushing it. But what's beautiful, I'm on track. And that certainty carries over into my business. So that when guys get on the calls with me, or they get on a sales call with me and they talk about, I don't have time to work out, I'm like, the hell you don't. That's like a side product or side benefit of this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the best parts of going through this whole thing too, is like the confidence that you get in yourself when like you feel good inside about your body. Like no one can take that away from you.
Nope.
And that just translates into real life.
And saying the word translates very easily.
It's really hard.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed too is like, I know you've been having to wake up early to go to the gym.
Yeah.
To get this in. But there's been this little book upstairs that you've been reading called Jesus Calling. It looks like you're like something's going on in your spiritual world. What's going on?
I have just been so tired of like feeling like I'm running and working and trying like so hard that I have to kind of like let go and surrender and just find peace in God and my spirituality. You know, one of the benefits of our new schedule with the gym is I do get this morning time for like peace and quiet time to connect with myself and connect with God. That just brings like a different sense of like calmness and energy and peace.
What was it like before this? What did you believe before?
Well, I mean, I went to Catholic school growing up, and so I've always believed in like a higher power and someone. I haven't been, I guess, this intentional about making time for it every single day instead of just like on Sundays, or just like by saying a prayer before dinner, you know, or a prayer before bed and stuff. And so getting that time to connect with myself and just have that peace in the morning is really nice.
How are you seeing that? Like, what are the benefits of that? Yeah. Like another intangible, maybe they're not, maybe you've seen like actual benefits from it. What have you noticed for yourself?
If I had to be honest with myself, like this last week, I didn't get to it every single day because I was sick and like prioritized sleeping in a little bit more in order to get more rest, especially with the boys waking up in the middle of the night and stuff. But I feel like when I am consistent with it, it just brings this like peace into my life, and I can show up like as a different person. And just like this peace internally instead of like feeling like it's kind of like chaotic inside sometimes. And like if I can rely on him to just guide me and trust in him that I'm showing up as a good person, as a good mom, like that just brings a different energy.
Do you think you were influenced by what I've been doing?
Yeah.
Like how? Because listen, let's be real. You know, I found God. We were out in Utah at the bottom of a canyon. We had just done like probably 12 rappels down this canyon. And I remember looking out into the distance, and we had made the decision that we were going to drop into the canyon even though there was rain coming. We had called one of our friends, Nick, to make sure that the storm wasn't coming our way, because you don't want to be in the bottom of a canyon if it's raining, because if that happens, you're dead. So we made the call to go through the canyon, and it ends down at this riverbed, right? So you're at the bottom. And so you're at the bottom of this canyon, and me and my buddies were sitting there, and we're smoking a joint, and then my buddy Forrest was like, you guys want to eat some mushrooms? Ate some mushrooms, and the hike in Utah was like straight out. I thought this was going to be a 12-mile day. It was like 22 miles. It was a lot.
That's a lot.
And so the hike right out of the riverbed is like straight up. So we've eaten these mushrooms, we're hiking out of the riverbed, and we get to the top, and my heartbeat is through the roof, and all of a sudden it's like, and I look over, like I see my friends walking, and like if you've ever done mushrooms out in nature, you can see the plants breathing, and I was like, whoa. And I feel God go, do you see what I've given you? And I was like checking to see if anybody else is there. And I just remember being like, I hear him go, you are in the golden era of your life. You have these friends, you're all healthy, you have amazing jobs, and I've given you this, look. That was the first time God got a hold of me. And then from that point, I was kind of like in this place of, okay, well, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I'm gonna kind of go down this path. And the real reason I started reading the Bible, because I thought it was gonna help me make more money. I'm gonna be real.
Really?
Yep. My coach was like, hey, start reading this. If you're more connected to God and you can follow your calling and you can be a better coach, right? You know, there's opportunity to make more money or be wealthier. I immediately tried that. Okay, cool. If I do this, I get this. Old way of thinking. But eventually that turned into me just reading the Bible every morning and finding this peace in just like what I was learning about myself. It was like a refinement and a purification of me. And so you've watched me do this, and I mean, for almost 2 years now. Has that influenced what you've been doing?
Yeah, as well.
Did you eat mushrooms before this?
Yeah, no, I mean, just seeing you and like how you show up as a different man and a different husband and father, and you have like this sense of peace and calmness in yourself and how you show up, and I don't know, like I want that as well, you know. And so for me to turn to that, I feel like I was just looking for something similar. And like my coach Bree too always talks about like finding who you are in God's eyes. I'm like butchering it, but like that's how you like learn about who you are. And so yeah, I'm just on this journey to that. You butchering that reminds me of us sitting on the couch the other night and trying to talk about the Bible, and it was like two blind deaf people talking to each other, and we were both like, we have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, I do. And so I think there's the thing I've been letting go is like I don't have control over everything. And there's so much anxiety and frustration and anger when I'm trying to control the timeline. And I think the peace that I found is that just trusting. Yeah. God has become like this mentor and this leader in my life. And when I trusted the leaders in the military, and I trusted the leaders in real estate, and I trusted the leaders that I had in corporate America, it allowed me to just focus on the task at hand. And so knowing that I can trust him to guide me, I just got to focus on me. Right. He'll take care of the rest. Yeah. That's been one of the most beautiful things that I've let go of, is trying to control it all and allowing him to just run the fucking show. Yeah. What have you seen that do in our marriage? Because there's things in our marriage, like especially this week, old patterns are just coming up out of the fucking woodworks. Old shit. Old ways of talking to each other. Old ways of doing things.
because we were sick and the kids were home on spring break and all of these things. Like, man, what if you noticed this, like this pattern, like one, us bringing God into our relationship? What has that shown you of things that we got to let go of in our marriage?
Well, I just, like this last week, I just noticed like some old patterns coming up in myself because, yeah, and just things that I need to like let go of and just choose to be different instead of choosing the old patterns, which is like default. Because it's like...
What are these old patterns though? What happened?
Old patterns as in like I got super defensive. Even like, this is so stupid. Even like yesterday when, you know, you were out front trying to, you know, spray the lawn and get it all ready for spring and summer and stuff. And I was watching the boys and Luca kept running outside where he wasn't supposed to be because of the chemicals that were in the air and stuff. He was outside and you came to get me or like, what are you doing? Like, he needs to be inside. And I was like, he's fine, you know, like trying, just like automatically getting defensive instead of just owning that I needed to be watching him and he needed to be inside. And that was going to cause conflict in our relationship. And, you know, this old, like, peacekeeper in me, like, trying to just, like, be a relaxed and chill parent, like, is just not what you need in a mom and things. And so, like...
Well, not in that moment. I mean, there's other things that you can be free and flow, but when the kid's around chemicals... You know what I found funny, too? Yeah. Is that, like, we got into a fight because you were letting him out, that, you know, you weren't watching him and he came out and I didn't want him to get sprayed. Mm-hmm. And then last night we were doing a test in the house and he touched the chemicals and you're like, don't, you can get sick. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, what is the irony of this?
Maybe it was, yeah, that's true. It is very ironic. I guess maybe it's because, like, I was dealing with that test and you were dealing with another test and I just didn't realize how crucial it is for until you read the thing for me. Yeah. So like,
it's like I had to pull up the instructions. I was like, if you are spraying this on your lawn, please don't have kids in the way. If it gets in their hair or in their mouth or anything like that, please call poison control. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay. So you notice this pattern of you getting defensive and having to let go. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you, having this rear its ugly head and come back into the relationship?
Yeah. I'm just envisioning it as like this old version of me and this new version of me. And I'm like fighting myself, but fighting myself like internally. And I'm just getting mad at myself, you know, for showing up in old ways that I know I'm not anymore. And that like I promised I wouldn't be in our relationship. And so it just creates this like tension internally with myself. And then that tension comes out at you. But because it's easier to resort to the old pattern of just being like super defensive in the relationship and being like trying to argue that this is right when it's not, and I just need to accept and let go that like I messed up is like harder than going back into the old ways of just being defensive.
Yeah, you know, you told me something the other day. You go, I have old patterns too that show up. We were sitting here on the couch and you were talking about how you were getting frustrated that, you know, every day just seems like the exact same and you're bored. And I was listening for a bit and then I had a long day. And that's not to justify my behavior, but I was like, you know, you're doing this to yourself. And it was a moment where I was listening, and I had just had enough. And it was like that little voice that was like, don't say it. Don't say it. Sergio, don't say it. And then you're like, fuck it, let's say it. And then you say it, and then all of a sudden you're like, shouldn't have said it. Mm-hmm. And I remember you just looking at me and you're like, oh, great, that really makes me feel seen, right, in the relationship. That's how I felt yesterday. Yeah. I'm sitting there spraying, I'm like, can you please get him inside? Mm-hmm. And then it was just like, you were just being so defensive. And I was like, it's not like I'm out here having fun. I'm fucking spraying weed shit on the grass. Please get the kid inside. Yeah. And so when you talk about, this is why guys get so frustrated with their wives. If like you don't respect what we have to say, but then you want us to respect what you have to say, you're fucked. It has to be like an equal like relationship. Like if you want me to honor you, then you have to honor me. Right? And it's not like I'm only going to do this if you do this. It's like, no, I'm going to lead in the way that I want to be treated. But if you don't reciprocate it, well, then we have to have a conversation. That's where I was yesterday. I was like, you were saying something and like it's irrelevant. But I was like, bro, no, I'm not apologizing this time. I didn't do anything.
I just felt like you were trying to control everything. But I guess there's certain things that, I don't think controlled is like the right word, but there's certain things where like can be more of a negotiation and come up with something that works for both of you versus like the scenario that we were in yesterday with like spraying the lawn and the chemicals and like the risks associated with it were too great in order for us to even have a negotiation about him being out there. Like he just needed to be inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And my question was like, help me understand this piece, because I think this is important. But I told you that. Then you tell me that I was trying to control it. There's no negotiation when it comes to that. Hey, this kid can get sick. Can you please bring him inside? That's it. There's no like, well, maybe we should let him within 100 feet of the spray. What does it say on the bottle?
Well, he was
Let's plug this into ChatGPT and do a risk analysis.
Stop. No.
Well, then what is it?
He was behind the fence, so I was like, he was behind the fence and behind the rock bed. So I was like, okay, well maybe there's enough space, but I wasn't out there to know that there was also wind, you know. And so then you were like, just get him inside, and I was like, okay, fine, got it. It's such a stupid fight.
So it is stupid. So let me ask you this though: is it because you don't trust what I'm saying?
I guess I didn't in that moment.
Why?
No, I don't know.
When have I lied to you?
I think we just had a rough week, or I had a rough week.
That's fine.
I'll take ownership for myself then. I had a rough week. I was really sick. The boys were really sick. Like, nothing went to plan, and that was just, like, the need for me to control everything and, like, want it to go to plan just created this, like, internal chaos for me, and then, like, you trying to control me just...
I'm going to repeat back what I'm hearing, and you tell me if that's right. Mm-hmm. When we can't control ourselves and somebody else tries to control us, we get really frustrated. So earlier in that week, right, it's not like you just had a bad moment. I remember I was like, I was in my car and I was coming home, and I had 2 sales calls that day. Mm-hmm. One canceled on me, and the other one was like, yeah, I'm going to sign up, right? And he's like, I promise. He like made this commitment, but he couldn't pay because he didn't have his credit cards, because his wife's controlling his credit cards because he got a drinking problem and who knows else what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then he bails. And in the beginning of building a business, it can be really challenging. Like when those things happen, they can feel so big because you're trying to build this momentum and build the success that every small loss can feel way bigger than it actually is.
Right.
And one of the things that my old identity was tied to was production. My worth as a man came from how much money I made. Mm-hmm. Now, no amount of money will ever make you feel like a man, ever. However, we didn't have a lot of money as a kid, and so I placed that thing on a pedestal. Now, that is not an excuse. That is just a reality in the storyline of the thing that I'm trying to get rid of to help me be a better man. And in many ways I have. My value doesn't come from how much money I make. It just comes from who I am. Mm-hmm. But this week, when those 2 sales calls fell apart and I'm walking through the front door and I'm trying to get you to open the door because we have one of those latches at the top that prevents Luca from running out in the front yard butt naked showing his wiener to the entire public like he's done plenty of times before.
Yeah, in the street.
Or pissing in the grass or running in the street. Yeah. You open it and then you just stand there. And I had all this stuff in my hands and I was like trying to hand it to you and you just still stood there. And I was like, move. And in my head, I said it, and then I immediately was like, why are you such an asshole, Sergio? Mm-hmm. And it was because all of these things that were outside of my control, that were old ways of me creating my own value had come up, and it sparked like this thing inside of me that was like this. I was just pissed, and you got the brunt of it. And so no different than you getting frustrated when I'm trying to control you. When that thing fell apart, I was like, well, you're the first line, you're the first person I'm seeing, you're going to get the brunt of this shit.
And that showed up with me as well, trying to make an argument for what I was supposed to be doing but was not.
Yeah,
so
I have an amazing coach right now. One of my many coaches, Mark Jennison, he's like, Sergio, for you to make this work, you and Lizzie are going to have to get closer. You're going to have to let go of things in your body. You're going to have to get closer to God. And you're going to have to just like, every part of your life is going to have to raise up. Mm-hmm. And so to see all of these things in our marriage kind of like come to a head last week, us being sick and all of these things, I was just like, fuck, it feels like you're just going backwards. Yeah. It's hard, man.
It's really hard. Yeah. Because it's like, we know what we need to be doing, and I know who I need to be, and let go of like those old things that were like our old marriage but haven't been. I feel like they haven't been in a long time.
I agree.
And then they just like resurfaced last week, and you're like, what am I doing?
The question is why though? Like, why did they resurface?
Yeah.
It's not that they resurfaced. There's something that triggered it. And that's where I want to understand for me is like, why did that happen? And the only thing that comes to me is that like, I'm trying to control everything. And if I just let go and trust, like we were talking about earlier, and when we were talking about God, well, then those 2 sales that didn't work out, they weren't going to work out. They were never supposed to work out.
Right.
That's all I can think about. And it's just learning to let go and let things happen.
Yeah. And maybe for me, it's just these old patterns of like getting defensive or trying too hard to like control everything, or feeling like I have to sacrifice everything for everyone else, instead of just like standing in my power and what I want and what I need and communicating that effectively, is just like reminders again of like, if you don't do those things that you know and you say you're supposed to be doing, like it's gonna cause all this pain in your relationship. And so like, are you willing to endure that same pain in order to get back to where you were, or like, can I just be that person?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we were sitting at the table last night. I was like, you realize if we just keep going in this fucking circle, we're never gonna get what we want.
yeah, exactly.
The house that we want, the life that we want to lead, the people that we want to help, like it can't happen. And that was another thing that kind of came up in this business, is like this money issue for you as a stay-at-home mom that continues to surface for 3 years. I'm sure that's a tough battle. Why is that so hard for you?
It's interesting to hear you talk about how you place money on a pedestal of like defining your worth, because I guess that's like what I have and like what society has, instead of just like letting go of that. I don't know. I find it hard that like I don't make any money to contribute to the family, because maybe it's this desire to build something for myself, and the fact that I'm not making money like are conflicting. I'm out of alignment instead of finding like something where I could do that.
I mean, I can't win that battle. And I've told you this, and I feel like it's something that I've tried to save you on that I can no longer do.
You can't save me.
I know I can't. Listen, I know I can't. But I've told you there's a difference between making money and adding value. And just from like a financial perspective, taking the value outside of like what you do inside the house and with the boys, all of that removed. What is the value that you've created in the business? 8 of the 12 guys that have signed up have all listened to what you've said on this podcast and said that that was the reason they signed up. $40,000 worth of value financially that you've brought in.
Yeah, I understand that. And I'm super grateful. And I love doing the podcast together too. I guess it's just this desire to do more. Like I want to create a community for women that are struggling in their marriage, so that they can, you know, have a better life, instead of just like feeling like they're waiting for their husband to change, instead of realizing that they do have power in like changing themselves. And so I feel like it's probably this misalignment in myself that I want to do that, but I'm not doing that. And so then when I'm not making money from week to week, and like then a money conversation comes up, which it should, because if I'm going to be spending like $1,000 on microneedling and lasers to, you know, make myself feel more confident, like that should be a conversation that we should have.
Yeah.
Because that's a fair amount of money to spend, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I understand that you need to bring that up in a conversation, and we need to have that conversation, but it's like, I guess in what I'm interpreting it as, like I can't spend any money because I don't make any money. So that's my thing.
Right. Have I ever said that?
No.
Have I ever judged you for Amazon or Target or microneedling or your hair or anything?
No, we've just said like, hey, we need to make some adjustments here or there. Like,
well, yeah,
if that's the case.
When money got tight and we had to make some adjustments to make sure that it didn't get worse, we had to have conversations. Do you understand how hard that is as the sole provider to come to you and be like, hey, I'm not providing. So because of my lack of production, we have to lower our spending. Do you have any idea how hard that is?
I honestly didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
No.
It fucks with a man's mind.
Yeah, I'm sure it
Hey,
does.
Sergio, this is me doing a Lizzie impression. Hey, Sergio, I trust you to go out and provide. Hey, Lizzie, I fucked up. I didn't provide. And now because of that, we can't do X, Y, and Z. But what does that really look like? Hey, I won't do this for me. You guys continue to do your shit. And I'm not saying that like, oh, look at me, I'm all high and mighty. I'm saying that as my job as a provider is to make sure that you guys have an amazing life. And then I'll take care of myself.
But you should always take care of yourself first.
I do. I work out. I get up and meditate. I'm building wealth in myself. I'm building the man. So that as the money comes in, my value is not determined by that. Mm-hmm. But in the short term, I want to make sure that the boys have a great life and that you can go do the shit that you want to do. Doesn't mean that I'm like over here just like eating ramen and hating life. No. But I am driving a 2013 Subaru that's pretty fucked up. Why? Because my focus right now is to get a new home for everybody. Everybody's, when are you going to get a new car? The moment I get a new home for my fucking family. And so like I'm sitting here being like, I can't keep fighting this fight with you about money. I've showed you that you brought in value. I want you to have, if we have to have a conversation, I'm always honest with you about it. But what I won't do is like, I'm not going to, this is your fucking battle fight.
I mean, it's just something that I need to let go of or
build your thing.
Or build my thing. But like, I don't know. That's what I feel like is the hard part. Because I feel like I'm just surviving right now.
Okay.
In like doing the podcast and motherhood and like working on my fitness and all of that. I feel like, where do I add this time?
Cool. So when you're walking out of the gym, you open up your camera, doop, doop, doop. You shoot a 2-minute video, you add some captions, and you throw it up. You do what you can with what you have. Before I could afford an editor, I would just go live. I went live for a year. Yeah. Why? Because I couldn't pay for an editor, but I wanted to get content up. You do what you can with what you have. And then as the boys go to school together next summer or next winter, next fall, and you have time, perfect. Or if we choose to adjust our schedule to where you take the boys to class, right? Or you go work out in the morning, and then you go work at Lifetime while the boys are being taken care of by Lifetime, and you have an hour every day, you do it then.
Yeah.
There is plenty of time. Is it going to be up to your standards? Probably not. My shit's not up to my standards, but I'm doing what I can with what I have. Because here's what I know. Just like people say, I'll start giving money away when I get rich. If you don't do it when you don't have it, the fuck you will. You can have all the time in the world, and if you're not doing it now, you won't do it then.
Well, then it comes just down to like fear and feeling like I don't have a plan. But I feel like that comes back to like my spirituality and stuff. And so that's why I feel like I've had to rely on, a higher power to just trust that I can figure it out. So I need that confidence in myself before I like do it. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Consider the following. All the words are already inside you. It's your responsibility to get the fuck out of the way and just speak. And for a few months, you're going to just say a bunch of nonsense. Right? Yeah. And then one day you're going to have this moment. And things, the clouds are going to part, the seas are going to open, and things are just going to come out of your mouth, and you'll be like, holy shit, what was that? And it's because you just took the reps and did it. But that can't happen. And you can't build the thing that you want to build in order to get past this misalignment and to make money for yourself if you're unwilling to do what you can with what you have. Because you have time. You have 20 minutes to the gym and 20 minutes home.
Speak in the car? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
100%. We can get a little portable mic, get one of those suction cups that like stick on the windshield, and you're good to go. If that's your lesson in this business, in creating something, the thing that I realized that I have to let go of, and there's a phrase that it was said to me, the energy it takes to build it is the energy it takes to maintain it. So if I build this business out of hustle culture, I'm gonna be stuck in the hustle forever. But if I build this with purpose, I build this with trust, I build this in alignment, I build this with focus, and I'm not chasing the dollar, but I'm doing this because this is what I'm asked to do, this is what I'm called to do, and that's the exact same energy it's gonna take to fucking maintain it. So this is why I'm building this differently.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'm not working hard, doesn't mean I'm not doing late nights or working weekends, but what it does mean is that I'm not allowing myself to go back into this old way and lose myself. In fact, the reality is you and I need to have a conversation. I need to work more. This will not work with the pace I'm going at right now.
Well, then we'll have that conversation.
Yeah, we will. Does it mean that I'm not gonna hang out with you guys? No, but it does mean I'm gonna have to work a little bit later. It means I'm gonna have to work a little bit on the weekend.
Well, yeah, I feel like you've stepped up even in the last week of like cooking dinner, and for me that makes me feel a little bit guilty because I can cook dinner. Like, you don't need to come up. You can work. Like, okay. I can cook dinner. It'll be fine.
As long as this new version of you is what you truly mean, because sometimes I feel guilty.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's your battle to fight, but when I hear the kids screaming and you're cooking dinner and then I come up and you're angry or like you've had a long day and you're maybe short-tempered, which any person would be, right? I feel guilty.
Yeah.
So there has to be this connection of like, if we're going to build something, it's going to take a level of us both working at a higher level, because it's not sacrifice. We're going to have something beautiful out of this. But what it is going to take is us being like, hey, we're going to have to do a little bit more work
than
what's expected.
I agree.
Okay.
Not surprised.
All right.
It's coming up, so.
It's coming, but it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Because at some point, the life that we want requires a different version of us. And when you're in alignment, it doesn't feel as hard.
Yeah.
is what Bree's been trying to tell you.
I know.
Right? If you're just moving with your purpose and you're moving in alignment, you have way more time than you think you do.
Yeah, and that's what's been like misaligned for me.
I know, it's okay.
And it all came to a head last week.
Beautiful.
And then just, yeah.
That's the best thing about being sick. Someone told me that when you're sick, all of the things that are under the surface come to the top because you have no energy to hold them down.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Listen, y'all are not alone out there. Every marriage goes through cycles, and you repeat, and you go back, and you go move forward, and you go back. If you and your wife don't share a vision, you're fucked. You are royally fucked, because you will fight each other instead of fighting for the thing. And that's what happened this week. We were fighting each other, and now we get to have a conversation because we're fighting for our vision.
Glad we did. We needed it.
Yeah. Listen, if you like this podcast, give it a 5-star rating or whatever the rating system is. If you hated it, leave a 1 and keep telling me that you want me to go fuck myself or to die. Because you guys love to say that for whatever reason.
Or I'm annoying.
Or that she's annoying. Either way, share this with another couple if you think they need it. Come follow Lizzie at Lizzie Ray. Come follow me on Instagram at Sergio Nazaro. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.